Hello and welcome to part 1 of my Walking with Dinosaurs park in Jurassic World Evolution. This first part will take you through a tour as a guest on the tour line, and I'll play the tour guide. It's pretty improv, but I felt that the recording was okay, so hopefully you enjoy it. Part 2, which will be a separate video, I will go through in detail each enclosure, including some of the animals that we miss on the tour, and just basically show you how I did everything. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, I thought I'd put it in a separate video rather than as part of this video. So without any further ado, please go enjoy your tour. Hello there and welcome to the Walking with Dinosaurs park. I will be your tour guide this evening. Good to see you. As we approach the gate, please bear in mind to keep all arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. I will point out curiosities as we come across them, and let's hope we have a great tour today. So, straight off the bat, welcome to the Triassic era. As you can see, life is not too abundant, it's pretty barren. We've just come through a great extinction event between the Permian period and the Triassic. And there is a lot of vegetation on our left hand side, mostly fern prairies and spikier, hardier trees. Of course, broadleaf trees have not properly evolved at this time. And if you look ahead, we can actually see some of our first prehistoric creatures here. Now, the ones running through the water just now and getting closer to us are there you are, you can see them on the left there. This is a herd of Placerias that we have put into our Triassic display. They are ancient reptiles, they are not actually dinosaurs, but they are amazing nonetheless. If you look to your right, you can see some actual dinosaurs. This is an example of Coelophysis, please ignore the voice on the radio. You can also see directly ahead of us the large Plateosaurus. They were latecomers to the Triassic period and were the forerunners of the later sauropods. Many people call them prosauropods, but I understand that term has actually been dropped from paleontological study. But we'll use it here just for the ease of before sauropod. Really is a beautiful animal. Some more Placerias just on the left hand side, and another Plateosaurus. We do also have Postosuchus in this display, though we haven't run across her today. Do keep an eye out for on our Walking with Dinosaurs postcards. All photographs were of creatures you may see on today's tour. We are having problems with the automated voice system in the car, so she may inadvertently describe creatures that we are not seeing today. It has been reported to management and will be repaired as soon as possible. We hope it does not interrupt your tour. As we leave the Triassic period, we head into the Jurassic period. As you can see, large pine forests have now evolved and cover a lot of the Earth's surface, along with more fern prairies and other non-grass related floor plants. There are quite a lot of dinosaurs we could see in this forest, so do keep your eyes peeled before we reach the plains. I'm not seeing any at the moment, but that doesn't mean they're not out there seeing us. We do have some Ornitholestes and Dinosaurs in this enclosure, and they do like to be in the woods, but perhaps they've taken a vacation to the plains today. I'm sure we might see signs of them later. In fact, if you look straight ahead, there is the Ornitholestes crossing our path. He likes to flash his fancy crests and frills at other dinosaurs. Oh, there's the other one. But have no worry, him and his mate are no threat to us, and it's mostly just for display. As we approach the edge of the forest, you can see a Dryosaurus running away from our vehicle. And some of our most impressive specimens here our sauropods. Of course, sauropods we believe evolved from the earlier prosauropod line, which split off from theropods sometime in the early Triassic period. We have several examples of sauropods here, including this Diplodocus and the Brachiosaurus you can just see ahead. Truly beautiful creatures. Oh! Everyone hold on! Our Brachiosaurus just giving us a playful... Diplodocus just giving us a playful nudge with his tail. As soon as the dinosaurs are out of our way, we will be on our way. But do take the time to enjoy our marvellous creatures. And if anyone has a headache, there are paracetamol and ibuprofen in the pockets in front of you.
Brachiosaurus is one of the most well-known dinosaurs by virtue of her massive size. This makes her a popular attraction for visitors. Her calls can be heard from across the park.
They certainly can. We have 3 brachiosaurs in this enclosure, and they all looked at slightly different. We've engineered them that way. Okay, now the dinosaur tail is out of our way, we'll move by. Simply beautiful. On our left as well you can see one of our other brachiosaurs and Diplodocus. We do have some Allosaurus in this display, but we haven't seen them today. Again, do check out the postcards. Or book another tour, and we'll be happy to try and find them.
Name is derived from the incredible height of her humerus. She is so famous there is an asteroid named after her.
Seems the ornitholestes want to see us off as well. It's nice that we've been able to see them. Sometimes it's hard to see them in the forest, but they seem to have been taking a field day into the grasslands. So as we leave our sauropod display behind, we're now entering into our marine display. In contrast to our past display, there's not too many creatures here. A lot of them are marine. And we can show you some aerial shots after we've had the tour, and you can get a full appreciation for the creatures we have on display here.
Tour vehicles are remotely controlled.
Directly ahead you can see...
Jurassic Park control room.
Thank you. You can see Eustreptus spondylus. We have a breeding pair in this enclosure, and they like to roam between the islands and feed off carrion that washes up on the beaches. We have just passed as well 2 examples of Cryptoclidus and Ichthyosaurs. Hopefully we'll see them again as we come around on the left. If you're sat in the back seat, you can also look out the rear window and take a good look. The Ichthyosaur specifically we have on display is the Ophthalmosaurus. These particular Ichthyosaurs can grow extremely large. Obviously they don't grow as large as the largest creature we have on display in this enclosure, which is the Liopleurodon. It's unlikely we'll actually see the Liopleurodon from our tour. He likes to stay at the bottom of his enclosure. But we have some wonderful examples of photos we've taken from the air, and I'll be happy to show you those as soon as the tour has concluded. Somewhere in this display we also have some small Rhamphorhynchus running around. If we see any of those, I'll be sure to quickly point them out. Must be quick, they're fast little critters, and it can be difficult to get a glimpse of them, but I assure you it is well worth it. So the idea behind this enclosure was that much of Europe was actually underwater during this period of Earth's history.
By providing specialized medical care and restocking feeders for a nutritionally balanced diet.
They do indeed, and if you would like to have a I'll start that sentence again, do excuse me. If you'd like to have a VIP experience and have some time with our ranger teams, that can be arranged once you're back at your hotel for an additional fee. As I was saying, this period of Earth's history, Europe was mainly an archipelago with many shallow inland seas, and that is what this enclosure is trying to replicate. You can see most of the marine creatures just to where we came in over there. They do like to congregate together at times.
Are available in the glove compartment.
And if this were at night time, we would be using the night vision goggles just mentioned. You can purchase your own pair at our gift shop, of course, and they are fully customizable, so you can have your perfect colour of night vision goggles for whatever it is you wish to use them for. As we approach the end of this particular enclosure, we will be leaving the Jurassic Period behind and starting our adventure into the Cretaceous Period.
Some dinosaur species are naturally shy and may be hiding in nearby forest.
And I will try my best to point them out if they are hiding. So as we enter the early Cretaceous Period, there are main dinosaurs to see in this enclosure. As you crest this hill, we sometimes have herds of iguanodon traipsing the beach, and a few Polacanthus mixed along with them, as well as a few carnivores. In fact, if you look just straight ahead, we do have what seems to be one individual of the iguanodon herd. They do sometimes like to split off from each other. Obviously we monitor them for safety to make sure they don't fall prey to the Utahraptors.
Listen carefully to any safety announcements or instructions from staff.
And sometimes they like to sleep on our tracks as well. That just gives us more time to admire them. So this is the European example of iguanodon. Quite beautiful creatures. Do note the thumb spike that was originally placed on the creature's nose, and to the left actually is the whole herd. Quite a marvellous species. We will be coming back into this enclosure very briefly, but we will leave just to point out to you the aviary. This isn't part of the official Jeep tour we're on at the moment, but you can take a nice woodland walk and visit closely our aviary. Currently on display we have 6 Ornithocheirus, and you can get a personal feeding session with them for an additional nominal fee. As we re-enter the early Cretaceous enclosure now, we'll travel along the beach portion. As you can see, one of the iguanodon has come over to greet us. And you can just see beyond him on the right a Polacanthus grazing on the low vegetation. There's the second Polacanthus as well. These spiky animals, a third Polacanthus has just appeared from the woods, and as I was saying, these spiky animals do like to hang out with our iguanodon herds for safety in numbers, although being quite prickly themselves, I don't think they'd make a very appealing meal.
A skeleton was later excavated from the Wessex Formation.
We do have a family of Utahraptors in this display, so do keep your eyes peeled for them. They do like to hide and stalk in the woods, but hopefully we'll get to see them today. Stretches of beaches like this, it's interesting to note, can be found as in the fossil record as a set of dinosaur footprints. In fact, one European beach was uncovered with a herd of iguanodon footprints, all travelling in the same direction, indicating the creatures were migrating.
Want to remember the experience of a lifetime? Then make sure you capture that perfect dinosaur selfie.
At this time in Earth's history, if you look to your left you can see some flowering plants. We try to maintain the most accurate environments that we can, and during this period of Earth's history, flowering plants were beginning to evolve along with early birds. Oh, you can just see one of the Utahraptors on the left now, emerging from behind the rocks. Again, any dinosaurs we don't manage to see on the tour today, you can find professional photos of in our postcard store. So we will leave the beaches and forests of Cretaceous Europe behind and head into our next display.
Speed is her greatest defense against carnivorous dinosaurs.
Head to our next display, which is the Antarctic display. It may surprise you to know dinosaurs lived in Antarctica, but for most, if not all, of the Mesozoic era, there was no ice at the poles, and so the landmass was free for dinosaurs to inhabit. Straight off the bat, we have our herd of Muttaburrasaurus. Their trumpeting calls can be heard across the park. You may have heard them when you landed. These animals use their inflatable nose sacs to communicate with each other and keep tabs on where everyone is. As we enter this enclosure as well, you may have noticed a small ornithopod. There should be more
All
of them
species
in
of
this display
dinosaur have
somewhere.
different requirements for care.
We have
We
a whole
put
tribe,
their needs first
or clan as
and
they like to be
develop
called.
bespoke approaches for each species.
I'm hoping we can see more of them so I can point out more of their features. In case we don't manage to see the whole clan today, they are called Lielanosaura, and they are an Antarctic... I thought I saw one there. They are an Antarctic ornithopod, similar to Dryosaurus, which the automated voice incorrectly identifies them as at the moment. As I said, this has been reported to management, and we will be looking to repair that as soon as possible.
Of meticulous work from a wide-ranging team, including geneticists, handlers, and scientists.
Nevertheless, moving back towards the Antarctic River, you can still see the Muttaburrasaurus there, as well as one of the Lielanosaura, collecting the berries and the small crust shrubs that the Muttaburrasaurus leave behind. They are quite messy feeders, but as they feed from plants higher up than the Lielanosaura can reach, they often leave plenty of vegetation behind for our small dinosaurs to indulge in. Somewhere in this enclosure, and I did notice one as we entered, we do have our polar allosaurs.
Please make sure that you listen carefully to any safety announcements or instructions from staff.
Yep, so if I tell you to jump out the car and run, you better do so. As I was saying, we do have our polar allosaurs in this exhibit. Allosaurus itself was becoming increasingly sparse as the Cretaceous came in, and some of the last species to disappear of the allosaur line were in the Antarctic. Obviously, if you follow the evolutionary path of theropods, they were replaced with the larger specimens like Carodontosaurs, but we don't have any of those in our Walking with Dinosaurs park today.
Triacanthsaurus is a medium-sized theropod that once hunted across Europe. Her name means moderately spined lizard, in reference to the spines on its vertebrae.
I was hoping we would get to see her before we left. Oh, just to the left there you can see them both poking their heads out. Wonderful. Glad we got to see them. We're now in our final Cretaceous exhibit, which is the Late Cretaceous. To the right as we enter, you can actually see the egg mound for our T-Rex. Do not fret, breeding is prohibited in this park, but we like to present natural environments for our creatures, and this mound seems to locate the T-Rex quite nicely. We also have our Dromaeosaur, baby T-Rex, I am mistaken, sorry, on the right there. The mother is quite protective, and we engineered those two examples to be smaller and provide her with a sense of parental care. Just passing on the right where we have some Edmontonosaurus. That is Allosaurus' favourite prey, but we feed her regularly enough that intraspecies aggression is not necessarily a problem for us. Neither is interspecies aggression. We do our utmost to make sure our animals are as comfortable as possible, even with each other, and that includes carnivores and herbivores.
Edmontosaurus's crest is made from soft tissue, rather than the bony crests seen in other species of hadrosaur.
Doesn't mean that our cars are necessarily free from dinosaur aggression, but I assure you all interactions and not aggression on the animal's part. They simply are slightly unaware of their own strength when compared with vehicles. To your left you can see one of our Taurosaurus. We have a large herd of them in this enclosure, and them, along with the Triceratops, which is directly in front of us, were some of the last ceratopsids to exist on Earth and would have been popular prey items for the Tyrannosaurus, whom I'm hoping we will still get to see on this final stretch of our tour. She does like to patrol around and nap in the trees, so do keep your eyes peeled.
Is a large duck-billed dinosaur that once inhabited the western regions of North America. Its name is derived from the location where it was first found, Edmonton, in southern Alberta, Canada.
So this entire display is meant to represent the ash fields of the late Cretaceous. This was a time of great volcanic upheaval, as well as the eventual end of the dinosaurs. Although such fertile ground would obviously, in the presence of water, allow for fast growing of monkey puzzle trees and items like that. To the left, just as we leave the enclosure actually, if I just point out, you can see our ankylosaurus through the trees. It's a shame we didn't get to see our Tyrannosaurus today. These are living animals, obviously, and we cannot guarantee that you will see all of them on the tour. So as we approach the end of our tour, I'd like to thank you for joining me. Please book another tour if you'd like to see more dinosaurs, or our postcard gift shop, and I will see you back at your hotel.